The vast control room of the Imperial Border Scanner Station hummed with its usual quiet energy. Blue screens lit up the faces of the operators as they washed over their assigned sectors of space. It was supposed to be another boring day at the edge of the Empire's territory. Officer Reed stood at his station, his gray uniform neat and pressed as always. His 6 fingers moved quickly over the control panel as he adjusted the long-range scanners. Something had caught his attention. Unusual energy readings from a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system. "Captain, I'm picking up some strange signals," Reed called out, his antennae twitching with excitement. "Sector 7, System 3249. There's significant radiation activity." Captain Marsh floated over on his gravity pad, his ceremonial cape trailing behind him. "Show me," he ordered, his 4 eyes narrowing at the screen. The display zoomed in on Earth. The planet looked peaceful enough from space, wrapped in its white clouds and blue oceans. But Reed's scans told a different story. The readings showed multiple sites of nuclear testing, countless electromagnetic signals bouncing through the atmosphere, and rapidly advancing technological progress. "How long have they had nuclear capabilities?" Captain Marsh asked, scratching his scaled chin. Reed pulled up the historical data. "Based on our passive scans, less than 100 years, sir. But that's what's interesting." He highlighted a graph showing the planet's technological advancement. "Look at their progress rate. It's unprecedented." The captain grunted. "Send it up to High Command. But don't expect much interest. Just another primitive species playing with atoms." But Reed couldn't shake off his worry. He spent the next few days studying the transmissions from Earth. The humans, as they called themselves, were strange. While they still fought among themselves, they also worked together. They built amazing things, then made them better. They failed, learned, and tried again. In the Imperial Archive, Reed found something disturbing. Other species typically took thousands of years to progress from discovering electricity to achieving spaceflight. Humans had done it in less than 2 centuries. "Sir," Reed tried again a week later, "I really think we should take a closer look at this species." Captain Marsh sighed. "You're not letting this go, are you? Look at these cultural transmissions we intercepted." Reed displayed various human entertainment programs. "They're constantly imagining threats from space. They're preparing for us without even knowing we exist." "That's ridiculous," the captain scoffed. "They're barely into their solar system. Their ships are primitive. But their weapons," Reed brought up more data. "They've developed so many ways to fight. Not just nuclear weapons. Chemical, biological, conventional. They're incredibly creative when it comes to warfare." Before Captain Marsh could respond, a priority message flashed across their screens. High Command had finally reviewed Reed's reports. They were sending a diplomatic vessel to Earth. Reed felt his stomach sink. He knew how these diplomatic missions usually went. The Empire would scan for weaknesses, decide the planet was worth taking, and begin the standard subjugation process. But something told him humans would be different. In all his years monitoring developing worlds, he'd never seen a species like them. They were divided, yet united. Primitive, yet advancing faster than should be possible. Violent, yet capable of great kindness. As he watched the diplomatic vessel depart for Earth, Reed made a quiet prediction in his personal log. "The Empire thinks it's going to subjugate humanity. I think we're about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating primitive species. These humans, they're something new, something dangerous, and we're about to poke them with a stick." He looked one more time at the image of Earth on his screen. Such a small planet for such a troubling species. The Empire had conquered thousands of worlds, but Reed had a feeling this one would be different. He just hoped someone would listen to his warnings before it was too late. The Imperial diplomatic vessel Star Messenger appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system in a flash of blue light. Its silver hull gleamed in the distant sunlight as it moved slowly toward the 3rd planet, following standard first contact protocols. Back on Earth, every radar system lit up at once. Military bases around the world went on high alert. The huge alien ship showed up clearly on every screen, making no attempt to hide its approach. "They're broadcasting something," said Colonel Walker at the United Earth Defense Command. He and other military leaders from around the world had gathered in the underground command center. "It's a greeting." The message played through speakers in dozens of languages, all translated perfectly. "People of Earth, we come in peace as representatives of the Galactic Empire. We seek diplomatic contact." The world's leaders gathered quickly in an emergency meeting. Some wanted to shoot first, but cooler heads won out. They sent back a careful reply. "We welcome peaceful contact. Please maintain your current position while we prepare a proper greeting." On the Star Messenger's bridge, Commander Vale watched the humans' response with his 3 eyes narrowed. "They're more organized than expected," he said to his crew. "Begin the deep scan. Let's see what we're really dealing with." Hidden scanners activated all over the Star Messenger's hull, probing Earth's defenses. The Empire always did this during first contact. Most primitive species never noticed. But humans weren't like most species. In the Earth Defense Command Center, alarms started blaring. "Multiple scanning beams detected," shouted a technician. "They're trying to map our entire defense network." Colonel Walker grabbed his secure phone. "All stations, activate countermeasures now." This is not a drill. Across Earth, military bases switched on jamming devices. Fake signals began broadcasting, designed to confuse enemy scans. Underground bases vanished from scans completely, while false bases appeared in empty deserts. On the Star Messenger, Commander Vale's antenna twitched in surprise. "Impossible," he muttered. "They're blocking our scans. How can they even detect them?" "Sir," called out his sensor officer, "we're getting strange readings. Their defensive positions keep changing. We can't get a clear map." Vale felt his first hint of worry. This wasn't how first contact usually went. He opened the communication channel again. "Earth Command, please cease your interference. We mean no harm." The response came back firm and clear. "Star Messenger, you will cease all scanning activities immediately. This is your only warning." Vale laughed, a primitive species, giving orders to the Empire. He turned to his weapons officer. "Fire a warning shot. Something small, just to show them who they're dealing with." A small energy bolt shot from the Star Messenger, aimed to hit the ocean far from any cities. But before it could enter the atmosphere, something unexpected happened. A hidden defense satellite came to life. A beam of energy shot out, meeting the Imperial weapon halfway. Both beams exploded in a bright flash. The Star Messenger's bridge fell silent. Commander Vale stared at his display in shock. "They intercepted our shot," he whispered. That's not possible. Their technology isn't advanced enough." Earth's response was immediate. Military satellites dropped their cloaking fields. Missile silos opened. Defense lasers powered up. Within minutes, the Star Messenger found itself targeted by hundreds of weapons. "Sir," Officer Reed's voice came through on the emergency channel from the border station. "I warned High Command. These humans, they've been preparing for this day. Every war movie, every science fiction story. They've been getting ready for aliens for over a century." Vale finally understood his mistake, but it was too late. As he opened his mouth to order a retreat, the first human missiles were already on their way. The Galactic Empire's first battle with humanity was about to begin, and it wasn't going to go the way anyone expected. The Imperial High Command's war room buzzed with activity. Red warning lights flashed across the massive star map as reports came in from Earth. The Star Messenger had retreated after taking damage, something that hadn't happened to an Imperial ship in centuries. "This is unacceptable," Admiral Stone growled, his scaled skin turning dark with anger. "Launch the invasion fleet. Show these primitives what real power looks like." Officer Reed watched from his corner of the room, his warnings now forgotten in the rush for revenge. The Empire was deploying its standard invasion force. 50 warships, each carrying enough firepower to level a city. The fleet appeared near Earth's moon 3 days later. Admiral Stone stood on his flagship's bridge, confident in his overwhelming force. "Begin the standard attack pattern," he ordered. "Target their largest cities first." But Earth was ready. As soon as the Imperial ships moved into position, they faced something the Empire had never seen before: organized chaos. Hundreds of small human fighters swarmed out from hidden bases on the moon. They didn't fly in neat formations like Imperial pilots. Instead, they moved randomly, unpredictably, making them nearly impossible to target. "What are they doing?" Stone demanded as the first Imperial ship exploded. "That's not proper combat doctrine." The humans had studied the debris from their battle with the Star Messenger. They'd found a weak spot in Imperial shields. They flickered for a split second when changing power levels. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Earth's fighters carried simple nuclear missiles, not advanced energy weapons. They didn't need to overpower the Imperial shields. They just needed good timing and luck. And humans, it seemed, were very good at both. "Sir," a crew member shouted, "we're losing ships 3 and 7. These primitives, they're using our own shield frequency against us." Stone couldn't believe what he was seeing. His neat, organized battle plan was falling apart. The humans weren't fighting the way they were supposed to. They didn't follow any of the standard combat patterns the Empire had used for thousands of years. When Stone ordered his ships to spread out, the humans launched attacks from underground bases no one had detected. When he grouped his ships for protection, the humans somehow jammed their communications. "Impossible," Stone shouted as another ship exploded. "They can't be this advanced. They barely have space travel." Officer Reed's voice came through on the emergency channel again. "Sir, you don't understand. They're not advanced. They're adaptable. Every defeat teaches them. Every lost battle makes them stronger." As if proving his point, a new type of human weapon appeared. Sleek black missiles that didn't show up on Imperial scanners streaked across space. They carried special warheads designed to vibrate at exactly the right frequency to shatter Imperial shields. "How?" Stone demanded. "How did they develop countermeasures so quickly?" "Because they never stopped preparing," Reed explained. "Every alien invasion movie they made, every story they wrote, they weren't just entertainment. They were battle plans. They've been solving these problems in their minds for generations." The battle lasted less than 6 hours. When it was over, 30 Imperial ships were destroyed. The rest retreated in disorder, something that hadn't happened in the Empire's history. In the High Command War Room, the star map now showed a large red warning zone around Earth. The Empire had suffered its first major defeat in centuries. "Send all available ships," the High Command ordered. "We will not be humiliated by primitives." But Officer Reed, watching from his station, knew it was already too late. The Empire had made a terrible mistake. They hadn't started a war of conquest. They'd started humanity's rise to power. 3 months after the Empire's failed invasion, Earth had changed. Former enemies now worked together in underground bases across the planet. Scientists from different countries shared their discoveries. The world had united against a common threat. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Miller walked through a massive hangar. Around her, teams worked on captured Imperial technology. The remains of fallen Imperial ships had taught them more in 3 months than they had learned in 50 years of space research. "Show me what you found," she said to her team leader, Dr. Thompson. He pointed to a holographic display showing an Imperial engine. "We've figured out how their faster-than-light drive works. It's actually simpler than we expected." They focused so much on making it perfect, they missed some obvious improvements. In another section of the facility, engineers had already built Earth's first FTL engine. It wasn't as pretty as the Imperial version, but it was 30% more efficient. The humans had found ways to make it work better with cheaper materials. "How long until the ship is ready?" Dr. Miller asked, looking at the massive vessel under construction. 2 weeks, Thompson replied. "We're calling it the Revenge." Meanwhile, In orbit around Mars, Imperial spy drones watched Earth's apparent lack of activity. They reported no major space launches, no sign of advanced weapons development. The Empire's commanders relaxed, thinking the humans were hiding in fear. They didn't know about the bases under the Sahara Desert, the Antarctic research stations, or the shipyards hidden inside mountains. They didn't notice the small asteroids that were actually human observation posts. On the day of humanity's first counterattack, the Empire wasn't ready. The Revenge appeared out of FTL travel near an Imperial supply line, surprising everyone. It didn't look like an Imperial ship. It was darker, rougher, built for function rather than beauty. "What is that thing?" an Imperial commander asked as the strange ship approached their supply convoy. Before anyone could answer, the Revenge opened fire. Its weapons were a mix of human and Imperial technology. Nuclear warheads rode on Imperial propulsion systems. Rail guns fired at speeds that surprised the Imperial gunners. "Impossible!" the Imperial commander shouted as 3 supply ships exploded. "They can't have FTL technology already. It's too soon." The Revenge's captain, James Parker, smiled as his ship turned for another attack run. "Send the message," he ordered. All Imperial ships in the sector received the same transmission. "The Empire thought we were primitive. You thought we would be easy to conquer. You were wrong. We're coming for you now." In the Imperial border station, Officer Reed watched the reports come in. The humans hadn't just copied Imperial technology. They'd improved it. They'd taken elegant Imperial designs and made them tough, practical, and deadly. "Sir," he said to his captain, "I think we need to warn High Command. These humans, they're advancing faster than any species we've ever seen." The captain looked at the destruction reports from the supply line. "They're using captured technology. That's all." Reed shook his head. "No, sir. Look at these scans. Their ship's design, their tactics, they're not trying to copy us. They're doing things their own way. And it's working." The Revenge's raid was just the beginning. Within weeks, more human ships appeared. They struck quickly and disappeared before the Empire could respond. They didn't follow Imperial battle doctrine. Each ship had its own style, its own tricks. The Empire began to realize they hadn't just awakened a primitive species. They had awakened humanity's full potential. And now, those humans were coming to show the galaxy what they could really do. As Officer Reed watched another successful human raid, he made a new note in his log. The Empire thought it was starting a simple conquest. Instead, they have created their worst nightmare: humans with something to prove, and the technology to prove it. 6 months into the war, the Empire prepared its largest attack yet. 500 warships gathered near Jupiter, ready to crush Earth once and for all. Admiral Stone stood on his new flagship's bridge, watching his fleet form up in perfect military order. "This time," he said, "we'll show these humans what real Imperial power looks like." But Earth had been busy. Satellite networks around every planet in the solar system activated at once. Hidden bases on Mars, Venus, and several moons revealed themselves. And something else appeared: 300 human ships rising from hidden bases across the solar system. "Sir," an Imperial officer shouted, "enemy ships detected. But they're all different." He was right. Unlike the Empire's identical ships, each human vessel was unique. Some were huge and heavily armored. Others were small and fast. Many didn't even look like proper warships. They were cargo ships and mining vessels converted for war. "Attack," Stone ordered. "Show them proper Imperial battle formation." The human fleet didn't form neat battle lines. Instead, they broke into small groups, each acting independently. Stone watched in horror as his perfect formation fell apart trying to chase them. "Why won't they fight properly?" he demanded. On the human flagship Freedom, Admiral Carter watched the battle unfold. "Launch Operation Scatter," she ordered, "just like we planned." Suddenly, the human ships released thousands of small objects. The Imperial fleet's sensors went crazy trying to track them all. Some were weapons, some were decoys, some were just pieces of metal. But they all looked the same on Imperial scanners. "They're using our own scanning technology against us," Officer Reed reported from his new position in High Command. "They studied how our sensors work and found a way to confuse them." The real attack came from an unexpected direction. Human ships appeared from behind Jupiter's moons, striking the Imperial fleet's rear. Their weapons had improved again. Now they could switch frequencies faster than Imperial shields could adapt. "Impossible," Stone shouted as ships began exploding around him. "How are they advancing so quickly?" The answer came from hundreds of human scientists working together, sharing ideas, trying new things. They didn't care about elegant solutions or proper procedures. They just wanted results. In orbit around Earth, a new defense system activated. Huge mirrors reflected sunlight into space, blinding Imperial sensors. Networks of satellites created energy fields that disrupted Imperial targeting systems. Everything humanity had learned about science and warfare over centuries was being used in new ways. "Sir," Reed reported to the High Command, "I've analyzed their tactics. They're not just fighting us. They're studying us. Every battle teaches them more about our technology, our weaknesses." The Imperial fleet retreated in chaos, leaving behind more destroyed ships. But the humans weren't finished. As the Empire pulled back, they launched simultaneous attacks on Imperial outposts across 3 star systems. How did they coordinate attacks so far apart? An Imperial commander asked in panic. The answer was simple: they didn't. Each human fleet had full authority to act on its own. They didn't wait for orders from Earth. They saw opportunities and took them. In the High Command Center, Reed watched the reports come in. The Empire had lost more ships in 6 months of fighting humans than in the last 1,000 years combined. "We need to rethink everything," he told his superiors. "These humans, they're not just beating us. They're changing the way war is fought." As if to prove his point, a new message arrived. Human ships had been spotted near the Empire's core worlds. They weren't just defending anymore. The hunt had begun, and for the first time in its history, the Empire was the prey. The Imperial Palace on the capital world shook as another explosion lit up the night sky. The Empire's mighty defense fleet burned in orbit, defeated by just 30 human ships. Inside the palace's war room, panic spread among the Imperial leaders. "How are they hitting us here?" demanded Emperor Vale, his scales pale with fear. "How did they get past our border defenses?" Officer Reed, now promoted to senior analyst, stepped forward with his report. "They didn't break through our lines, Your Majesty. They went around them, under them, through them. Every fleet we sent to stop them became a learning opportunity for the humans." On the main display, red warning lights showed problems everywhere. But it wasn't just humans causing trouble now. Other species had watched humanity's success and decided to fight back. The rock people of the granite systems had destroyed their Imperial governors' palaces. The methane-breathing creatures of the cloud worlds had taken control of their gas mining stations. Everywhere, conquered species were rising up. "The humans are helping them," one general reported. "Teaching them, giving them weapons, showing them our weaknesses." Reed nodded. "The humans have a saying: 'The enemy of my enemy is my friend.' They're turning our own empire against us." In a distant star system, a human diplomatic ship met with leaders of 6 different alien species. The humans didn't demand their loyalty or try to control them. Instead, they offered something the Empire never had: freedom and respect. "We'll teach you to defend yourselves," the human ambassador said. "Show you how to build your own ships. Help you protect your worlds. All we ask is that you help us end the Empire's control." Back in the Imperial capital, things got worse. Political leaders who had grown rich from controlling other worlds now faced angry crowds. Military commanders who had never lost a battle now couldn't explain their defeats. "It's not just their weapons," Reed explained to the Emperor. "It's their ideas. Humans believe every species has the right to be free. And that idea is spreading faster than we can stop it. The Emperor watched another fleet disappear from his display. These ships hadn't been destroyed. They had surrendered. Their crews had decided they'd rather work with humans than fight them. "Show me their latest attack patterns," the Emperor ordered. Reed brought up a map of recent battles. There was no pattern. Some human fleets fought directly, smashing through Imperial lines. Others snuck past in small groups. Some didn't fight at all. They just appeared near Imperial worlds, broadcasting messages of freedom and rebellion. "They're not trying to conquer us," Reed realized. "They're trying to break us apart. And it's working." In the shipyards orbiting the capital, workers from a dozen species dropped their tools and declared they would no longer build Imperial warships. On 100 worlds, Imperial governors woke up to find their palaces surrounded by their own security forces who had switched sides. "Your Majesty," Reed said quietly, "we've lost 15% of the Empire's territory in just 2 weeks. Our economy is failing. Our military is deserting. We need to consider surrender," the Emperor roared. "To primitives. To survive," Reed corrected. "The humans aren't acting like any species we've ever fought. They don't want our worlds. They don't want to rule the Empire. They want to end it." As if to prove his point, another report arrived. The humans had released all Imperial military secrets to every species in the galaxy. Suddenly, everyone knew how to build Imperial weapons, how to defeat Imperial shields, how to fight Imperial ships. The Empire hadn't just lost its power. It had lost its biggest advantage, control of advanced technology. And it was about to learn another human saying, "Knowledge is power." The Imperial Emergency Broadcast System activated for the first time in 10,000 years. Every communication device in the galaxy received the same message. Warning to all Imperial forces and allied worlds. Avoid all contact with the species known as humans. Do not engage. Do not threaten. Do not provoke. This is not a suggestion. This is an order for survival. In the Imperial Palace's Grand Hall, Emperor Vale signed the peace treaty with shaking hands. Around him, representatives from 50 newly independent worlds watched. At the center of it all stood the human diplomatic team, looking surprisingly normal for a species that had brought down an empire. "The war is over," the Emperor announced, his voice carrying across the massive room. "The Imperial era has ended." Officer Reed, now chief diplomat, stood nearby. He remembered his first warning about humans all those months ago. He had been right, but even he hadn't guessed how completely humans would change the galaxy. "You could have destroyed us completely," the Emperor said to the human ambassador. "Why didn't you?" "Because that's not who we are," the ambassador replied. "We don't want to rule. We don't want to destroy. We just want to make sure no one can threaten Earth again." The terms of the treaty were simple but firm. The Empire would be broken into independent worlds. Each species would govern itself. Trade would continue. But no one species could control another. "And if anyone tries to build another empire?" the Emperor asked. The ambassador smiled. "Then they'll have to deal with the Human Defense Alliance. We're establishing bases throughout the galaxy. Any world that wants protection can join us." Already, hundreds of worlds had signed up, not just for protection, but for trade, for learning, for cultural exchange. Humans were teaching other species about democracy, about freedom, about working together as equals. In orbit above the capital world, the new reality was clear. Ships of all different species flew together. Many had human crews working alongside alien species, teaching them, learning from them. "It's remarkable," Reed said to his human counterpart. "A year ago, we thought you were primitives. Now you're teaching the galaxy a new way to live." The human diplomat laughed. "We had good teachers, all our science fiction writers who imagined this moment, all our dreamers who looked at the stars and wondered what if. When you attacked us, we knew exactly what to do because we've been practicing in our minds for generations. Across the galaxy, the warning about humans spread. But it wasn't just the official Imperial warning that traveled. Other messages spread too. Humans will help you if you're in trouble. Human ships protect trade routes without demanding payment. Humans share their knowledge freely. Humans treat all species as equals. In the following months, the galaxy changed more than it had in the previous 1,000 years. The rigid imperial systems gave way to new ideas, new ways of doing things. Innovation flourished as species began working together instead of competing. Reed's final report to the former Imperial Archives read, "The Empire's greatest mistake wasn't attacking Earth. It was assuming that because humans were young, they were primitive. We didn't understand that their greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their ability to imagine a better future and work together to create it." 1 year after the war ended, Earth hosted the first Galactic Unity Conference. Representatives from over 1,000 worlds attended. The main topic wasn't war or power or control. It was about working together to explore the universe. As Reed watched ships from hundreds of worlds arrive at Earth, he remembered his first scan of that small blue planet. He had tried to warn the Empire about humans. Now he had a new warning for the galaxy. Beware of humans, not because they're dangerous, but because they'll make you believe anything is possible. And the most terrifying thing about them is, they'll prove it's true.